Today, it's all about the money.
When it comes to, investing in water, and when it comes to this echo chamber, and when it comes to all of these issues and, being able to raise funds effectively to invest in water, well, how do we turn this franchise around? Like, what is it that we need to do here?
Welcome to the stream, an unscripted, unedited, free-flowing conversation with guests who reject the status quo with a bias for action in the world of water and beyond. My name is Tom Freyberg. I'm an environmental journalist and content creator specializing in water.
And I'm Will Sarney, a water strategy consultant, doing my part to solve wicked water problems.
And today, it's all about the money. We're pleased to say we have an investor on the program, Alexander Crowell, the managing director, PureTerra Ventures. Alex, good to see you, coming in from the Netherlands. How are you, my friend? It's been a while.
Pleasure to be here. Very well, thank you. Yeah, here in the Netherlands for sure. A little bit cold here today, so my apologies. Sitting in the attic of my house in lockdown, so.
No worries. You actually joked as we started that your house fridge is probably warmer than where you're sat right now. So
there's no doubt about it.
If you need to jump up and do some star jumps to keep warm and all that stuff.
Or we could film you in the fridge. I mean,
either way, it's all good. It might be warmer in the fridge, so that might be a way we could go forward.
Right, the stream chiller edition.
There you go, chilled stream.
Cutting through the ice of the hype. How you been in lockdown? I mean, things are kind of coming out the other side now in the Netherlands.
No, not at all. Actually, I think as far as a country, I think they're the furthest behind in all of Europe. If everything goes according to plan, I believe I will be able to get vaccinated in September of 2023.
Is that right? Is that the
yeah, no, it's if everything plays out perfectly, I think that's where I land. But they're getting there. It's tough. You have Australia and places like that are doing really, really well. But they're an island. Right. Here in Europe, porous borders, people coming, people going. So I just want to see the backside of it. I look longingly in the sky for chemtrails. So we'll leave it at that.
Hey, and I'll bet you miss conferences, right?
I do. You know what? Those. I'm thinking the next one I go to is, I'm not sure if it's 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000. It's just, I can't wait to get back on that trail and get up there.
So, Alex, this is a little bit like Tom and I throwing a match on gasoline, the whole topic of conferences and sort of the usual suspects talking about the same thing. So feel free to combust.
Yeah, no, it's conferences for me, and it's a bit of a bone of contention. And, we've spoken about this over the years, Will, where it's literally an echo chamber. You go to one conference and the people that are on the panels, the next conference you go, they're, in the crowd, and the people that were in the crowd, the conference before, they're now down on the panels. So it's kind of just a merry-go-round of the same people talking about the same things. In my opinion, the way that the things are, it's a broken system. The echo chamber, the same people trying to fix the same problems. It's got to get outside of what I call the water sphere, and get more out into the public of, really what's coming at us in, the next 15, 20 years with water issues around the world. And with that, I'll segue over to, that's exactly why PureTerra Ventures exists and why we invest in water. Elegant
segue, I might
add.
Thank you. Totally unscripted.
And you didn't rehearse that one either, did you?
It's not written on the wall back there.
That was a beautiful segue. You can come and be a host on the stream if you want, because
you're welcome.
Yeah, let's jump into it then, because obviously you've got your eye on a lot of different innovations, right? A lot of different things in the market, and like you say, we need new people, we need new ideas and new thinking. So, what would you say at the moment sort of catches your attention because you've said this echo chamber phrase? What do you see? Like, that's cool. That's what we need. That's where we're going to focus some attention. Because you must have a lot of people pitch their innovation to you. But you've been in the market a while, right? So you can perhaps know what's needed, what is innovative and what's not. I'd love to hear. This is what's kind of catching my attention right now.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit sideways from answering that exactly as, narrowing it down to a particular technology or field or bucket of how we put technologies in different areas. What catches my eye is the massive lack of investment in water globally, or the ability to raise money to invest in water. That's what's really stands out for me. And then, just to use a couple of quick examples, I'm not sure of your guys' rules of engagement, but as far as naming names and dropping organizations, but
no.
I remember when I started when we started PureTerra Ventures in Europe, there's an organization. It's GIN, GINN. It's a global impact investing network, and signed up. We were just starting our fundraising, and I thought that I was going to the Valhalla of companies that were going to be able to. Hey, look! I walk out of there with a pocket full of checks. We were the poster child for impact. We're going to go out and we're going to invest in water technologies. We sit on just a treasure trove of water technologies globally, more than 2,000. And our investment team, who's in Shanghai, who have done just an incredible job, have database more than 1,000. And that's not a website and a telephone number. That's like a complete dossier on all of these technologies. No shortage of investment targets. So we walk in there and it was like talking to a wall. Every seat that was taken up, there were 1,500 people. Every seat had billions with a B under management, and just talking about ways to invest in impact. And water wasn't one of them.
So what's the deal, Alex? I mean, is it, we've talked about this, for a while. It's, are we not framing this the right way? What are we missing in terms of what are we missing? They're missing, or, all of the above. I mean,
I think a grand experiment is really due. And that's when, these people wake up in the morning, maybe we just shut their water off for a while.
Yeah.
It's all taken for granted. I mean, you get up in the morning, you have a shower, you brush your teeth. You turn the big silver knob and the water comes out. You hit the other big silver knob and the water goes away. So it's it's a 5 o'clock news cycle thing, right? Whether it be, Cape Town, London, wherever.
Did you see on World War Today, there was a Portuguese utility that urged just that at 10. I first heard about it and I thought they were going to shut off the water supply completely at 10 o'clock for 1 hour.
Awesome.
So similar, but I kind of looked into it and I think it was a voluntary turn off. So they're encouraging everyone to stop using it for an hour. So
it's not the same, Tom.
I know. Initially, it caught my excitement. I was like, that would definitely cause a ripple and get attention. And then I looked into it. I was like, is this really? And then the more I looked, it turned out to be voluntary.
Yeah. So why don't we start like an initiative called, absence makes the heart grow fonder, or something like that. Just let's shut it off.
Will, listen, we're not going to have to wait that long, and it's going to shut itself off. So
absence makes the H2O grow fonder. I mean, we need to kind of
brainstorm
the title a little bit.
We'll work on it, but we'll get there. Something along that line. So that's really what's catching my eye, Tom, to circle back. There's, to be more specific to an answer to your question, there's some incredible technologies out there. COVID really, one of the good things, I guess, if there are good things that come out of COVID, was really a great movement in the digital side, digital technologies. There was a company just purchased here a little while ago. Maybe, Will, you can give us your opinion on that one. If I can steal a phrase from, I believe it was Patrick Kiley, who said he was as confused as he was happy. And I think that encompasses it.
So, yes, that's actually a good way to put it. And I had several conversations about this, and I would say that I aligned with Kiley in that it was, wow, that's a shitload of money.
Yeah.
But it made sense. I mean, and what I mean by made sense, if you look at the acquiring company and what they're trying to do, which is to break in to, I feel like we're speaking in code, Alex. But
you're talking about the $1 billion acquisition in the digital space recently?
Yeah, the unicorn. Somebody bought, somebody created. They didn't buy a unicorn; they created a unicorn.
Right. Moonshot.
Right? So, we'll come back to moonshots in a minute, and we'll beat that one to death. But it's interesting from a, I would say mostly a strategy guy, and from a strategy perspective, okay, I get that. And, it was a lot of money, but we'll see where it goes. So, yeah, I agree with Kylie.
It was, well, I was I'd have to say that I'm right along the same lines. I was very happy to see that happen. It's those types of acquisitions in this space are important. I just wish there were, many more of them on the go.
It's interesting. I mean, the sort of the last two, the one that we're referring to, and there was one before that was basically like a stepping stone in that direction of, big water technology solution provider bought a digital company. This amped it up even further. So tell us, what do you think about moonshots, Alex? So Alex,
I'm gonna let Tom jump in on this one.
Alex, so I threw the match again.
Yeah,
I'm confident Tom is going to get the gasoline can from under his desk.
Yeah, no, I'll let you guys kind of lead in on that a little bit, and then maybe I'll add some commentary about it. But moonshot for sure.
Here's Alex. I'll give you a couple of seconds to compose the message on that. But you could say the Sustainable Development Goals, right, were a moonshot for us, especially on water and sanitation. By 2030, access to water and sanitation for all. But as a message, as we've seen from World Water Day on March 22nd, even United Nations have said, unless we can quadruple our efforts, we're not going to get there, right? So as a collective moonshot, that wasn't enough, even by 2030.
No.
Massive failure of the public sector. I said it out loud.
Do you think?
Oh, Alex, okay, I walked right into that. I walked right into it.
Yeah,
but day zero, the whole day zero narrative. It's
right.
What were you thinking? You didn't know this was happening. You didn't foresee it. It's your role. It's your job to ensure that doesn't happen.
So a couple things. We'll kind of jump out of this one for a minute because we only have 30 minutes. I think when you talk about exits in the water industry, a lot of them get, let's say, hidden. Companies pull other companies in, and you don't really get to see the end result of the success of that company because they're acquired at an early stage.
Right.
But when it comes to investing in water, and when it comes to this echo chamber, and when it comes to all of these issues, and being able to raise funds effectively to invest in water, well, how do we turn this franchise around? What is it that we need to do here?
Yeah, I think we need and we've talked about this, with WaterSpark in particular, creating a very simple, clear narrative around it. What I believe is we make it too complicated in a lot of ways. It just has to be really simple for other people to understand. And I'm also a huge fan of bringing in outsiders that know nothing about the world of water, that just look at us and say, you're out of your mind. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Mm-hmm. And Alex, you and I have talked about this a lot at those conferences that we love to go to, that we need to be an evangelist. We need to really kind of blow things up and call it out. I mean, my momentary rant about the public sector, people don't talk about that. They just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd love to segue here, Will, if that's okay.
Sure.
Talking to the outsiders, right? Shawn Harris. Let's talk about, because this is an interesting. We're saying, Alex, you're saying bring in outsiders, and you had a Dutch dragon from, not literally a dragon, but from the Dragon's Den program, Shawn Harris, right? Who was, I saw the headline, was the avocado queen, but now is invested into, was it 5 million into PureTerra, right?
That's
in terms
correct,
of
yeah.
diversifying her portfolio, a proven entrepreneur, into water. So I think there are some positives we need to take from this, right? So maybe we can talk a bit about that and the connection with Shawn Harris, and how there are new investors looking at the space and perhaps with new talent.
Yeah, it's to really be able to. I'll come back to Shawn, because Shawn Harris is she's a rare human. Put it to you that way. But to be able to invest in the water space, or to be able to invest in a fund that invests in the water space, it takes a certain kind of mindset. Shawn Harris has that in spades. The background on her, of course, is she, did very, very well in ripening avocados, so that you didn't have to go to the grocery store, buy an avocado and wait, a month and a half, and for it to soften up. She was able to have, shelf-ready avocados. She's actually from the U.S., but has spent most of her life in the Netherlands. Her interest was really based upon the theses that PureTerra Ventures is a venture capital group that invests in water, and that was enough. Most people, and this is another little bit of a bone of contention I have, we don't come from a finance background. We come from an entrepreneurial background. We come from the water background, and we come from having a network in water that's incredibly profound. Case in point, yourself and Will sitting here today, you guys have, you guys are extremely well known. You have contacts all over the world. I always say the water industry, although vast, is incestuous. Nobody ever leaves it. They just change the color of their polo shirt. They just go from company to company. So when it comes to somebody like Shawn Harris investing in PureTerra Ventures, it was done solely on wanting to make an impact, understanding that water is an important resource, and trying to do her part to, play a role in getting that done. So just to add a little bit to that, when we go out to the institutionals and, family offices and fund of funds, we are measured on a completely different scale. What's your track record? How many funds have you run?
Right.
What was, how many exits do you have? And what that has to do with, investing in water, there's some aspects of it, but the finance end of it's the easy part. Mm-hmm. Actually knowing what you're investing is, that's the hard part.
Right.
Understanding the industry. So they would rather go out and put their money in venture capital groups that one day invest in steel-toed boots, and the next day the nose cone of the space shuttle. All over the place, and they don't look at the knowledge part of it or what can be brought to bear. So that's another little bone of contention. The world needs more Shawn Harris's in that mindset to really dive in and get their hands dirty and make be involved. And she's incredibly involved.
So you're saying she led more with the kind of philanthropic mindset with this, in terms of the broader picture of water scale and what we talked about, 2030 moonshot, access to water and sanitation for all, rather than leading with the return that she would need to start with.
Well, she's a businesswoman as well. She believes that impact and finance can live in harmony, and it can. So you can do both, and I'm sure she expects both. But the primary driver here, she's not just handing a check away at on the street corner. She fully expects that the fund will turn a multiple for her. But what's interesting is that it didn't turn into one of those, vanilla flavored or boilerplate examinations of who the fund was.
Hey, Alex, you bring up a critical point in terms of traditional, Silicon Valley VCs. They fell in love with clean tech. Water initially was lumped under clean tech, and was soon discovered that water is really not renewable energy, or some other clean tech play. Lo and behold, and it sort of feels like we're in the 2.0 stage of that again, where the sort of usual suspects are looking at the water sector and having that conversation that you just brought up, which is how many funds have you raised, and what's your track record? Have you looked at 1,000 companies and placed bets, and you found the unicorn? And that's just it doesn't work. I mean, it just really doesn't. It does take domain expertise and a network and access. And I agree with your take.
I'm going to throw you guys a name, and you should chase him down. Maybe you already know him, a gentleman by the name of Jed Emerson. I believe that his company's Blended Finance. He's west in the U.S. somewhere. He would be a very interesting conversation to that degree on how this system is completely broken and antiquated. That's why it's broken.
Do you I know, Will, we've talked a bit about it, but I wrote a story recently about crowdfunding, and when I mentioned this word to some other investors, they, with all due respect, they sort of raised their eyebrows as if to say, "Come on, kid, this is small change," right? And the piece I wrote about the company, again, I guess in terms of millions and millions of capital to be deployed, it is quite small change. But they raised over 300K to get started, and they're using it alongside venture capital to get up and running, get more resources, get more team on the ground. So I wanted to know kind of where you see maybe crowdfunding alongside other investment models, because it seems to be quite divisive. And I just wondered if that mindset will change, and whether you maybe agree with the reaction I got from other investors.
Listen, crowdfunding is a great thing. I wish we were allowed to use it. I really do. But unfortunately, regulations, when you through the labels, don't allow that. So it's not an option. But I think it's a great way to raise money for different causes and different things. But it's difficult, impossible, if you're a registered VC to go that avenue. So
sure.
Let alone the cap table on your LP side would be relatively lengthy.
Right.
Daunting.
So it's daunting, for sure, daunting. New York.
What's that, Alex? The yellow pages? What are you? You're not that old. Come on.
Oh my God, man! Listen, you always get that 3-minute elevator speech when you're sitting at a table or in a new conversation. And when I started in this industry, it was, we had this thing on a desk. It had lights on it and a rotary dial, and no computer. It was just all manuals.
I appreciate that, and in fact, I value that. And I usually start the conversation around digital with, I started my career in the analog world, measuring water levels with a steel tape and chalk.
Yeah, well,
that's.
We all lived through that, from the actually running around with a clipboard to 4 to 20 milliamp twisted pairs running all over the place. Just this labyrinth of wires, to Yagi to SCADA. It's been quite a journey. One question I have for you guys, I'd be interested in, as we kind of go through the the municipal being the hot topic to industrial finally, kicking in with some regulations. What's next? Where do you see what's the big thing? What's coming next?
Tom, you want to go?
Go,
Where do you want
Tom.
me to go?
I was going to say Mars, but that was just a joke, like water on Mars. But no, Will, happy for you to go, so I can gather my thoughts.
This won't be any surprise to either one of you, but democratizing access to actionable information. So,
just a minute.
Yeah, come on. And some people have said, please don't use the D word. But as I think about what happened at Flint and what's happening just sort of in general, and in some ways it goes back to just cut the water off, just like stop the water, and we'll see how much people like pay attention. Mm-hmm. But it's, think about data collection, analytics, where it resides, and what is wrong with that. Public policy moves slowly because most people don't know what's going on or don't care. And I'll use Flint as an example. If the population of Flint knew on a real-time basis that they were drinking lead in their drinking water, lives would have been saved, as opposed to going to the utility, to the state regulatory agency and the federal agency to ask, people are getting sick. Is everything okay with my water? Oh yeah, fine. Don't worry, everything's good. Well, putting the power in this, for me, will break a lot of glass, as they say, and change public policy, because it has to. And I don't know.
Don't you see that scaring the hell out of people?
Yes, which is exactly what we need to do, Alex. We need to scare the shit out of them. It's like, no.
I think it's opening Pandora's box.
Yeah. Yes,
right.
It is. I think the three of us know the status quo is not working. Yes, people need to be scared. Well, they need to be informed, and they need to be able to take action. And giving them actionable choices, for me, is a good thing. Yeah, I want people to wake up. I don't know.
Actionable choices. I like it. I like where you're headed. Mass hysteria. Is there something in the middle? Maybe we just give them.
It's not as if we haven't got enough mass hysteria in the.
Oh yeah,
already, right? It's not as if we need to add any more to that. We've just
welcome to the US.
Of a pandemic,
let's
just have some more in there.
Yeah, well, we can just piggyback it. We'll just come right in on the back side of
it. Alex, your question. Yes, there's something in the middle. Because I'm a firm believer, if you don't push, you'll never get to the middle.
Yeah.
You'll think about all of this as incremental progress, as opposed to, you know what? Let me tell you exactly the way it is, and you can find out on your own and see where that takes us. Because right now, it's like baby steps ain't getting it done. So anyway.
Yeah. Tom?
I heard just to kind of row in.
And wait,
moving on.
So Alex, this is going to be the stream with Will, Tom, and Alex going forward. How's that?
Yeah, no, I hear you, but it's just before we pop over to Tom for a second here. One of the things that has driven me crazy, over the last couple of decades, let's take lead as an example in the U.S. 20 years ago, they used to paint it on cribs. That's probably why I can hide my own Easter eggs. But, with a stroke of the pen of the US EPA, they dropped the limit. So there was like 3 little red dots in the US 20 years ago, and then they dropped the limit. Now the thing lights up like a Christmas tree. So, they don't know what they don't know. But, another stroke of the pen and, the whole country would just be red. So this is kind of my counter to this, but I agree. Maybe some mass hysteria would be a good thing, and maybe we need to get that rolling. And sign me up. Like, where do I sign?
Oh, you've been signed up. Trust this. This was the partnership discussion.
All right.
You've just passed your baptism of fire to become a co-host to the stream, Alex. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Tom, you go for it.
Yeah, I mean, just to maybe add a small comment to Will's remark is I heard speaking to an investor about this, and it's you think shaping it as a public health crisis rather than kind of a water technology opportunity as a way to bring in additional sources of money. I think there's something there, but he said there's this phrase that stuck with me, considering what you guys are saying. That's like when people look for areas of where to live, they search on Google Maps in terms of access from roads, schools. How does the local school rank in terms of the where I'm going to send my family? And he said, well, imagine in the future, combined with this real-time data you're talking about, Will, you can actually see in the area where you're living the water quality, right? Imagine, so that's actually going to become a part of where people choose to live based on the water quality. I think comparing, you can't take Flint and compare it to every other utility in the world and say every public sector organization is a Flint, because they're not, especially in mainland Europe. There are some well-performing, well-regulated and clean utilities. So just to kind of get the balance shifting a little bit. But in terms of, so that was just my little comment on where you're going with that. But I think big word for me is decentralized in terms of where I'm seeing innovation. So to kind of get communities access to water and sanitation beyond installing centralized enormous infrastructure and kilometers of pipeline, decentralized innovation. So whether that's atmospheric water generation, whether that's kind of novel business models around water kiosks that can use mobile phones in terms of payment and security. I've written some case studies on that in Kenya. So I really think that kind of decentralized treatment, security, add in the data element to it, there's going to be more innovation around that. And I really think that's going to be a core part of the puzzle to get us to hopefully anywhere near the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal.
I think digital is the enabling and technology and all that, because what you hear from the utility sector, the centralized last century utility sector is, well, we need to monitor, we need to, ensure public safety, health. Well, digital real-time data with decentralized systems delivers that safety factor and, health factor, but not building big things. So I'm total agreement with you.
I agree as well, but privatization, is that coupled with it?
It needs to be a blend, because you're not going to serve the whole of London with decentralized systems, right? So I think a mix between the public and the private collaboration. Also, the main centralized treatment systems, obviously there's a lot of efficiency gain to be had there, but to complement it with decentralized systems through private sector innovation, I think it's going to be a big part of the equation moving forward.
A while ago, I talked to a utility that shall remain nameless and asked them, what they thought about air moisture capture technology that was off grid. And they said, we would embrace that, because that gives us the ability to, partner with an innovative business and off-grid technology and expand our service area without more plumbing and more capital investment. So, yeah, if we don't pull at one end, we'll never know what a hybrid looks like.
Yeah, see, for me, the privatization side, I think, is one of the key drivers for innovation. I really, really do.
Yeah.
The more that the privatization comes in, where they're, basically paying cost plus a small service for, the next 20 years, we'll take care of your system. And, the gains we can make by introducing new technology, smaller footprint, less electricity, whatever it may be, communication, digitalization, anything on improvement. That's what really is going to drive innovation in this sector. Is really the privatization side. It's really status quo if it's public owned. Nothing moves. It's just the same. They're out there repairing what they got.
Right. The Romans would be proud, Alex.
Listen, that's where it all started. I mean, it's
Right.
for me, the Romans protected the people. Industry put that was my answer to the question. I think it's agriculture. I think that's an area here that really needs to be addressed, and it's just everybody's turning a blind eye to it.
It's sacred. It is the sacred cow, as they say, in terms of the myth of agriculture.
So is industry.
With 70% using 70% of water, right? So it's a huge user. Any kind of incremental gains on ag water usage will have huge impact on the rest of the water users.
Well, industry used to screw 70% of the water up. So it's really, industry was where agriculture is now. It put the towns, villages, cities, they depended on industry, and it was just the big blind eye. It was, as you said, the sacred cow. Well, but nobody did anything, and I mean that went on for decades. But they finally got their arms around that. I really believe agriculture is next, and we're looking at it very, very hard. And there's hardly any innovation or step changes to what's possible there.
This is a longer conversation, hopefully in person, but look, we love going to conferences because we enjoy seeing each other. The difference between innovation and true disruption, and there's sort of incremental innovation, the evolution of Roman technology versus, oh my God, this is a business model I hadn't thought of, or this is a technology solution coupled with an innovative business model that will really change and sort of blow up the status quo. So, I don't know that we really talk about that enough and really sort of dig into, what is disruptive, somehow ties into the moonshot conversation.
Are we going back to that?
You bet. I want to beat that one to death, Alex.
Yeah. No, I know we're probably burning the minutes away here, but one thing I wanted to say to you two is, I really appreciate you guys doing this. The message that you guys are promoting, the people that you have on. I apologize that I don't have any ukulele skills or singing skills. I have very little to bring to the table except
Alex, it's not too late. We still have a few minutes if you want to bang out a solo. We're open to that,
I think it'd be best for everybody if I pass there, but all I have is really my opinion and my views on things, which you guys have to understand really has no research behind it whatsoever. It's based on anecdotal evidence. So, but no, I just wanted to say that great job and great work, you guys. This program, I hope it blows up. The world needs more of this. Really, really does.
And now you're invited back again.
Oh,
and
God.
Yeah, that's it. You've opened yourself up. Every season there's a check-in with Alex. A part 2, a part 3, a part 4.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, thanks. Appreciate it, Alex. But also, guests are a huge part in the viewpoints that we can bring together. So I appreciate your insight and that untarnished view. We want to share more of that. Your experience is really valid and what you're seeing and what needs to change. So I think it's a big part of it. But you're right, we are at that sort of magic. Well, we've just gone past the 30-minute mark. So appreciate your time. And like Will said, you'll have to come back on. I think we've got more to
there's lots more. I mean, I didn't drop one expletive, so I mean there's digger to deep. We can dig deeper, that's for sure.
Hey, and it's not too late, Alex.
No, I'm gonna hold off till maybe episode 2. We'll see how that goes.
All right.
A song. Imagine that, a song with expletives. You tick both boxes. There you go. But that's
absolutely. I'll work on that in my spare time.
Let's make it so.
All
right. Well, gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Alex. To everyone watching or listening, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more content coming up on the stream. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Be well. Bye, gentlemen.